Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show for your daily fix of football chat. The main talking points tonight. It's time for Celtic to step up, according to Ronnie Dyla, as they prepare for Molde in the Europa League. Hibs booked their place in the League Cup semi-final. Alan Stubbs is the Championship Manager of the Month. Jason Cummings is the Player of the Month. And we'll discuss talk of stripping titles at Rangers. The current boss, Mark Warburton, says that he doesn't have any problem whatsoever with signing targets in January, despite losses of £7.5 million revealed yesterday by Rangers in their latest set of accounts. Alan Ruff, he joins me alongside Hugh MacDonald. Delighted to have Hugh with us here. It's been an interesting 24 hours, Hugh. Yesterday it would have been good to get your insight into it. With regards to today, I think HMRC winning the case, declaring that the EBTs were illegal, has opened up another can of worms, with quite a lot of people now pontificating and on social media the lot, suggesting that Rangers should be stripped of titles that they won between 2001 and 2010. Now, I would only counter this before I get your thoughts on it by suggesting that when the original case by Lord Nimble Smith was revealed, Rangers fans were on pontificating, and now supporters of other clubs are doing the same. There's another stage to go before anybody takes the moral high ground. Yeah, potentially this could go to the Court of Session, and potentially there's another appeal on this, and there's another unravelling of this story. I think in terms of where does it go next outside the legal aspect will be largely up to fans. I don't think there's an appetite amongst the authorities for pursuing this any longer. I certainly don't seem to, reading all the media today, there's no great media campaign to talk about stripping titles. But interestingly, there's a huge fan base going after it now, and that if anything further on that line happens, I think it'll be down to the fans. Yeah, that is where the groundswell of opinion gathered pace when they were talking about Rangers going into the third tier of Scottish football when the original problem started with the administration and liquidation, Roughie. So it's something that will be addressed eventually, I would suggest to you, when we get a final ruling, which could be quite a long way away. Yeah, it could be a long way away. There's no doubt about that, and it's something I don't think the manager and the players would want to start dealing with. We saw the carry on when it was out there for everybody to see, when Rangers were coming down the leagues, and when they were playing well it was okay, but when things weren't going well results wise, everything got thrown out there. And I don't think with the quest of trying to get back into the SPFL they'll want to be reading that every second day. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, despite the other court cases which are ongoing and the troubles that Rangers have to deal with, the manager was speaking today. Mark Warburton says that despite £7.5 million losses and the need for a £2.5 million cash injection, he doesn't think that will have a fundamental effect on January transfer targets.
As I said, I'm happy with the situation. If I had a problem, I would say to the owner of the board, I'm more than happy. The support has been fantastic. The communication is outstanding. We talk daily in terms of where we are with the squad, what we're looking for, where we're weak, where we're strong, etc. So the communication lines are excellent, and the support has been first class. So from the football department, there's been no problems at all. Hugh, Dave King mentioned yesterday that he feels there's a better future for Rangers. Mark Warburton just has to, I think, as he mentioned today, just focus on what he's doing with his team on the park, and of course we're well aware that there's a battle on now with Hibs in the Championship. Yeah, and Mark Warburton's he's a clever guy, so he's playing it pretty straight down the line there. He's not putting any hostages to fortunes out about transfer windows, but basically the Rangers, even in these straitened times, are still making a huge loss. So at one point in time, somebody, and I know there's investigations going on of a proper sense, I'm talking about business investigations, to try and get the cost base down and get the club on a footing where to go forward, because they're on course to lose £2.5 million this year, already. So
that would certainly, indicate that he's not going to be, splashing out in the transfer market in January.
Yeah, and their main competitor, Hibernian, impressive again last night, Roughie. I mean, the first goal was a peach from their fullback, David Gray. Cummings chips in with his 6th goal in as many games, and then they go on and win the game 3-0 against Dundee United.
Yeah, we said it all along, if Hibs were to go on a run, the confidence building behind it, the supporters are right behind the club now, they're getting the results, and they're on a fantastic run as well. And it's very difficult to get yourself off a winning run, and that's what's happening just now. Everything's going well for them, and I can see why the Rangers manager would want to strengthen a wee bit, because Hibs are right behind him now.
Yeah, congratulations to Alan Stubbs. He's the Championship Manager of the Month. Jason Cummings is the Player of the Month. I don't think there'll be too many arguing that result.
No, and I think Stubbs is, come to the fore just at the right time, because there was just a flicker of doubts, that it was all hard luck stories and near misses and not taking chances. So I think, the results of the last couple of weeks not only have done the club no harm, not done Mr Stubbs' reputation and his own inner confidence any harm as well. I was always of the opinion that the Rangers would stroll to this league, and I still think they'll win it. But I think Hibs in the last couple of weeks have made me sort of change my mind, certainly about their merits.
Yeah, Jason Cummings deserves tremendous praise. Roughie, again, Hibs fans will be shaking their head, because as soon as they get a player who gets a bit of form, suddenly there are scouts in the stand looking at him.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Hibs, they are a selling club. If they were to get a reasonable bid, they would sell him. But I think Alan Stubbs has worked wonders with him. He's worked the old magic of leaving him out, for 2 or 3 weeks when I think he was going off the rails a wee bit, and he's put him in his place, and he's now getting the dividends. The boy's coming back. He looks as if he's calmed down a wee bit, and certainly you can see that in his football.
And across the city, Hugh, in Edinburgh, Hearts have announced losses of £681,000, but they've reduced the debt by £1.5 million.
Yeah, but the thing about Hearts is that there's a strategy and a plan in place here, and they're pursuing it really diligently. They've got on budget at the top, and the football department, as these things are now called, is working really well as well. So I think the turnaround at Hearts is not only to be commended, but it shows that there is a business plan that can be put in place for football.
Yeah, are you surprised that they are now second in the table? I had them in as top 3.
I'm slightly surprised, yes, because I thought top 6, but you never really know what a championship team coming up, would do. I watched them a couple of times last season and thought, yeah, they've got quality in certain positions. But to be frank, I thought Aberdeen would be second and strongly second, certainly in terms of budget. I mean, the Aberdeen story is another extraordinary story this season, the way they've imploded. So short answer is yes, but well deserved. Yeah,
the strange one is John Daly's going to join the staff in January from Wraith Rovers. We know John was maybe looking to continue his career elsewhere. I wonder if he's going to kick a ball, Roughie, if he's going to be the coach at Tynecastle. Is that the end for him? Well,
when we had him in the show, we were trying to get him a club, and obviously got one at Wraith Rovers, but we had a feeling he had something, a plan. So I think he's one of these players who's decided, look, playing football isn't a long term. I really need to start looking at my future now. Yeah. He's obviously had clubs come in and offered him jobs, but he's looked at this under-21 job and went, well, this could be the future for me. And certainly going to Hearts, he'll know what he's going to get. Yeah, and you mentioned there, you just touched on Aberdeen. Ryan Jack has come out today and said that, talk of squad squabbles and a falling out with the manager are just ridiculous. Yeah, but he's going to say that. I mean, I'm not denying that maybe the honesty of it, but if Ryan Jack comes out and says, yeah, it's like 17 Wolverines in there, in a bag, you would say, oh, there's a story. But there's certainly something's gone wrong there. I mean, the implosion's been absolutely dramatic. Yeah, Aberdeen. Usually the criticism from the fraternity of journalists is, we all like to moan and, can see a dark cloud on a sunny day, Hugh. Was there a day in your journalistic career where you just thought everything was fresh and light and fluffy, you took people at their word? Yeah, always when an Alan Rough press conference, you can sit back and relax and say, here is a man of integrity, honesty. I can take this man to the bank.
Hugh, you had me there until you mentioned Roughie in the press conference. Absolutely, I can't remember. Have you ever fallen out with a journalist, Roughie?
Never, no.
No.
Never. I was always on good terms, you know, used to speak at the airports and everything afterwards. I remember journalists used to come up to you and say, that's a wee bit of a bad game you've had there. What have you got to say about it? So you knew it was coming. You know, you just didn't pick up the papers the next day, so you had a chat with him and explained to him.
Yeah, how bad you were.
That's the way it was, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Never fallen out with a journalist. Still time, folks, but after the break, we are going to talk Celtic in Europa League action against Molde. We'll also look back at the Champions League football over the last couple of days as well, and a thrashing for Arsenal. So lots more football chat still to come.
Hi, I'm Chris Sutton. To win this beautiful signed shirt from me, which club did Celtic sign me from?
Hi, I'm Craig Turnbull, and don't forget you can watch the PLZ Soccer news headlines Monday to Friday by clicking on the link below.
Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. Alan Rough is in the studio alongside Hugh MacDonald, our bookroom guest. Delighted to have Hugh with us. We were talking prior to the break about Hibernian and Rangers and Hearts, and now time to move on to Molde against Celtic. Does the pressure increase if they don't get the positive result tonight, Hugh?
Yeah, undoubtedly. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, Ronnie Dial will be judged in domestic matches, etc. But he won't. I mean, he's, the whole Celtic business model is predicated on getting to the Champions League qualifying group stages. And that's what they're judged on in the financial books, on the business books. So that's what he's got to be judged on. So he didn't get there. So he really has now to come up with some credible European performances, I believe.
Yeah, here's a look at the table and where Celtic find themselves rooted at the bottom. It could all change, Roughie, over the next couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, it's the home games where you want to win your games, particularly in Europe, you know, and if he does that, you know, it looks a wee bit more respectable. But the bottom line is you've got to do it first, and the evidence of the defensive mistakes in Europe is there for everybody to see, and unless they tidy that up, we don't know whether the new boy is going to be playing tonight, and if he isn't, as soon as the team lines comes out, everybody will be in panic stations, because they know what it's like when he's not there. So it really needs to be a big performance tonight, and a big performance will get everybody on board, but as Hugh says, anything less than a win, people will start asking questions again.
And of course there's no fear from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or his team going to you know, an arena like this again, because I don't think the Europa League matches, you know, entice Celtic fans out in great numbers anyway, Hugh.
Well, as we know, it's that funny kick-off time as well. Very difficult for people to get to matches. I once remember, I think it was Celtic versus Rennes at this time, and you know, the general view in the press box was 30-odd thousand in the ground. And people say, oh, that's a poor crowd. And I said, it's probably the highest crowd in the Europa League tonight. It's just a poor crowd by Scottish standards, the way that we tend to go to matches. I actually think Celtic will do all right tonight, and if you're watching the half-10 version of this or the repeat, you can poke fun at the screen. I actually think this is a game that Celtic can and will win.
Yeah, Roughie, do you share that confidence from Hugh?
I don't have a problem midfield to up front. I think they create enough chances, there's no doubt about that. Griffiths is on fire. You would expect him to score tonight. It's just defensively, you know, we saw them going 2-0 up before and throwing it away. I would just like to think that they've learned something in the past games, that if they do go 2-0 out, they can see the game out, and I think they will tonight. This isn't a big side. This is a side that normally Celtic would just brush aside, so I think they will do tonight. Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, Hugh, I mean, Murdo MacLeod mentioned on last night's programme that he thought Ronnie Deila would be given another tilt at the Champions League. You know, the last week and beyond that, he's had a good bit of positive feedback since the last result in European football, and I think, you know, certainly Aberdeen and certainly Hearts he's received plaudits for the way the team played, and rightly so. But I still get the feeling that people are saying, no, that's fine. You can get your credit there. This is where Judgment Day comes.
Well, the Judgment Day decision will not be made by the fans or people at United. At one point, the money men, the board at Celtic, have a simple equation to put down. They've said to us, we've got another ticket here, you know, for the Champions League. We're going to give it to this man to convert into currency, and that's a simple decision, and it'll be in a yes or a no. Against Dyla might be that he's been out the Champions League 3 times in 2 seasons in qualifiers. For him, by the time, you know, the decision's made, who knows, it might come in the back of a good European campaign. They might beat Molde and Fenerbahce and get out of this group, and they might win a treble. Yeah. But that's the big decision, and I don't think anybody can be certain at this moment. I don't think even people inside Celtic are certain about this decision at the moment.
Another thing as well, it's vital next year to qualify for the big stages, is they don't have any more £10 million players to sell. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, that is completely inherent in the business plan, having a player to move on. I think at one time it looked, after Van Dijk went, you say, well, what next? I mean, who has come through? I actually think Bitong's coming through strongly, but he's not a £10 million player. Another guy I've been really impressed with in the last couple of weeks, who's finally shown what a good player is Rogic as well.
And I think they're actually trying to extend his contract too. Suddenly I can see a strategy emerging at the moment. I don't know about you, Hugh. Forrest, Rogic next up to sit down for talks.
Yeah, and you've got to remember that the people like Rogic and Bitong were on, you know, small wages. I mean, there was even, Bitong really came in as a catchweight along with Kayal. So what they presumably told him is, listen, your wages are small, we're going to bump them up, but if there's a good offer comes in, we're not going to, you know, we're not going to trap you here for years, because the Celtic's quite open about it. I mean, that's what, as part of the plan is, they have to move players on. That's just a financial reality.
Yeah, absolutely. One man who moved on yesterday was Jackie McNamara, a new manager of York City. He said today that he felt as if he deserved more time at Tannadice. Do you have a certain amount of sympathy with him, Hugh? Because here is a man who reduced the debt in double quick time with the sale of players, developing players, and he highlighted that the second best record next to Jim McLean is their statistics, and then
I mean, he's just been caught by, again, that great word, the reality of the situation. And one reality, when Jackie drives up to Tannadice, he's got Armstrong, he's got Mackay-Steven, he's got Gold, he's got Robertson, he's got Shifty, he's got all these players when he drives up, you know, what, a year and a half down the line, he's got none of them. Yeah. Does he say he didn't get enough time? No manager does now. The whole thing, the reality of the situation now is that you don't get time. You have to make do and bend with what you get. And I think what's happened at Dundee United, shown by last night's result, is that any idea that it was just down to the manager is pretty flawed. I see a long, hard season for them.
Yeah. When I watch the Champions League, we always like to see, you know, Scottish clubs or even a Scottish player that we could hold on to that's maybe playing in it. But now it's almost like looking in at the rich performing on the biggest stage. But even Arsenal were, you know, susceptible to a hiding, and boy, they got it last night, Hugh.
Yeah. I'm a complete and utter Arsene Wenger sceptic. You know, I know that he's reduced the debt of from buying the stadium, but there always seems to me to be real flaws in this Arsenal team that he never addresses. You know, he never addresses the fact that they don't have a sitting midfielder. He never addresses the fact that they don't have a big centre forward that can hold the ball up. And last night, you know, defensive errors just catastrophic for him. But the other thing is he's got this lovely way of, you know, they're playing Tottenham at the weekend, so they might get a result in the derby. Then all these people in the media will say, "Oh, he's done this and he's done that." Yeah. The fact of the matter is, I think the team reflects the manager, and I think in this case, Arsenal are full of players that, in Roughie's terms, would you go into the trenches with them? I wouldn't.
Yeah, of course, listen, they've got a mountain to climb even to get into the next stage. It looks highly unlikely at this point. One other point, which was on the Champions League highlights, I've got to say, Roughie, I did send out a tweet. I absolutely love Roy Keane in his analysis of Ashley Young, which was, if he's a Man United player, I'm a Chinaman. He said he is an absolute disgrace for his diving. I mean, honestly, it's just...
I mean, you look at somebody on the telly, you're looking for something like that. You're looking for, and he does not miss his words. And the other thing I like as well, I always like when he's on with somebody else and he doesn't agree with the other, and he just gives you that, just gives him that sort of a stare.
I mean, the reason I mention that, Roughie, is if you could just have that Roy Keane edge, and have a real ding-dong battle with Hugh. Hugh likes a battle, but with you, it's just all, you're just the best of friends.
Yeah, well, that's why we go into well. He talks a lot of sense as well.
There's no chance of
all over the west of Scotland, there's people chortling at them.
So there's no chance of an edge in this one tonight. Also, Chelsea, good win. Everything is forgiven.
Yeah, and this is another one where everything in the dressing room is rosy. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens at Chelsea, because there's obviously real.
You can't sack the best manager in the world, Hugh.
No,
come on.
And the support, interestingly, made that very clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what does Abramovich do? Does he ship the malcontents out? And keep Mourinho? I would be very, very loath ever to sack Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%, Hugh. Great to have Hugh MacDonald on here. Every time he comes in, he's just longing for a fight. It never materialises with Roughie. He's just the housewife's favourite. You just can't argue with him. He's so likeable. It's as simple as that. Thanks to Hugh for joining us on the programme. More football chat and the fallout from Molde and their game at Celtic tomorrow on the programme, if you can join us. Good night. Thanks for watching Peter and Roughie's Football Show. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like to see more, then why not go on to plzsoccer.com. All our guests from the full series are there, and you can interact with various little competitions that we've got and see some of the other fantastic features in the boot room and Dream Team as well. So click on there, plzsoccer.com, and of course, not only Monday to Friday, Roughie, we've got much more.
Yes, we certainly have. We have live football right through all the divisions, Scotland and England, 2 to 6.
2 o'clock till 6 on a Saturday. If you want the goals as they hit the back of the net, then click on plzsoccer.com. Thanks for watching.